March 23, 2015. It's about 3:15 and back with James S.B. Green, my father. Who's this young handsome guy? So this is the camera right here. See where my finger is? So, okay, don't push it over. You're going to push it over. There. What's your name, young man?
I will start at the beginning. I was born James S.B. Green, April 26, 1927, to Thomas Alton Green, Sr., my father, Florine Jenny Green, mother.
What was her maiden name?
My mother's maiden name was McCord, in a little town in Arkansas called Heber Springs, Arkansas. So-called Springs because there was about 7 sulfur springs in that city, and it stank like rotten eggs, but it's supposed to have been good for your health. I don't know. I lived there, went through grade school finished the 9th grade. We lived with my grandfather and grandmother. This was during the Depression years of 1935 to 1912 when the war started, 41. We moved from Heber Springs to Jacksonville, Arkansas, where I completed high school. Between the years of my 11th and 12th grade, I went to Kansas, Olathe in fact, to work on the Santa Fe Railroad. I worked there during the summer months, came back and finished high school, and very stupidly joined the U.S. Navy. That was the thing for all red-blooded American to do at the time. And I naturally thought I was a red-blooded American. But I hadn't been in the Navy 24 hours till I found out that I really pooped in my mess kit because I hated the Navy.
Is that the phrase you want to use? Poop in your mess kit?
Yeah. And we got through boot camp, and they sent me across the bay to the Navy destroyer base at San Diego, California, where I spent a couple of years. In fact, I should say, most of my Navy time was spent in San Diego. They found out I could type, so they sent me to the chaplain's office to work over there. I tried to get them, I told them I didn't like the job, I didn't want to be a yeoman and all that kind of stuff. And they knew better. Well, that's where they pooped in their lunch kit, because I wasn't cut out for that work. And I went ahead and I did my 3 years and got discharged on February the 25th, 1948, exactly 3 years to the day that I went in. Then I stupidly, when I got out, signed up for Navy Reserve and inactive. I never went to a meeting. I never drew any pay for that. I got out of the Navy. My parents had moved to Salinas, California. When I got out of the service, naturally, I was 21, stupider than ever, and really didn't know what I wanted to do or anything else. My mother kept begging me to go to college because the government would subsidize it. But I didn't. I was too smart. I had a job making $3 an hour or so. I was really raking in the dough. So, but it was seasonal. And then let's see what happened.
What were you doing in the fields? Was that the box baking job?
I first started out as a shook-up boy. If you don't know what that is, don't ask me. Actually, it's just small slats that you make boxes out of. And my job was to keep the machine operator full of slats, box full of slats, so he could make the boxes. Then I met a little old girl named Joan Vivian DeWolf. And oh, I fell in love. And I really thought she did too. I don't know. Anyway, I was married July 5th, 1952, or 51, at the age of 24. She had just barely turned 20. Oh, so then I decided I had to have a full-time job. So I thought I would try to be a carpenter, but I found out that I couldn't match boards the way they were supposed to go together. After 3 years of it, I went to work for the state of California as a correctional officer. I wasn't really impressed with the job. I never did really like it. Some mornings it was a pain just to get up and go. But I had a little annuity in it. little vacation time, sick leave, little seniority, and so I just stuck with it for 22 years. And I got a medical retirement from the job. Then I didn't have enough money to live on. So I went to work as a security guard, which I didn't care for that either. And then I went to work at Spreckles, California, in a sugar plant as a janitor, which I kind of enjoyed the job. I was working out, working, and making a little bit of money to go with my retirement, and we were getting along all right. Oh, incidentally, I forgot to say, in 1957, my wife, Joan, and I bought that house on South Street. And I've been there ever since, except some of the times when I would be working off somewhere, like Palo Alto. I'd stay up there for a week, come home. When I went to Las Vegas, Joan more or less insisted that I, take the interview, and I did, and they accepted me over there as a sergeant in their Department of Prisons.
What department was that?
Department of Prisons. And I worked there. I finally made lieutenant, and retired 8.5 years later from over there. I came back to California. And I forget what I did. I tried one of these fly-by-night things, and wanted me to go down and be a bouncer in a bar in a part of town that I didn't even speak their language. Yeah, I gave them back their uniform. Then when I went to Spreckles, I worked there for a while. I kind of enjoyed the work. It was, I kept in shape, working. I had a certain area that was my responsibility.
What'd you do in Spreckles?
A janitor. And then a friend of mine that I worked at Soledad, he got a job in Palo Alto, Ferry & Associates. And he told me about it. And he's telling me it's a nice place to work. So I went up and interviewed. And the guy hired me on the spot. I didn't even have a chance to say, well, give me a chance to notify my boss anyway. But he wanted me right away. So I went to work up there, worked up there a couple of years. I bought a trailer. I lived in a 27-foot trailer, which is about a mile from where I was working. And sometimes I walk to work. Sometimes I drive. 2 years later, in the meantime, this Officer Smith found out that Nevada was having an open exam for correctional officers, sergeants and lieutenants. I qualified for the sergeants and the lieutenants. And I went over and took both tests. I passed both, but it only put me on the sergeant's list. And about a year and a half later, they hired me. So I pulled the 27-foot trailer over to Hacienda Campgrounds in Las Vegas and lived there for approximately 8 years, coming home on occasions. And I'll tell you right now, this is no life for a married person to live like this. I can understand Army, Navy, especially Navy people, when they got to go out on a ship and they're gone for a year or two at a time. In the same way, I should never went to Nevada, but I did. It was easier work over there. It was more minimum security. And I had a little power. I'm getting tired.
You want to pick it up on another time? Or do you want to talk about bikini?
What?
Bikini. Bikini. In the Navy, bikini. You're a
Okay.
nuclear veteran, remember? You
Yeah.
left that out.
In my Navy time, in 1947, they stuck me on the USS Chilton APA 38, which was an attack transport, and sent me, we went to the Marshall Islands, where they were conducting a resurvey of the atomic explosion that they had detonated at the Marshall Islands the year before. And we were over there testing for radar. I mean, radar, my ass.
Radiation.
Radiation. We spent 90 days there, floating around an anchor right off the island of Bikini. I did not like to be a yeoman. I want to stress that point. And the Navy couldn't see it any other way. So they made a big mistake. Continued some other time.
That's all, folks, for now.